So, from time to time, I get asked, a friend will write with their book uh, that they are writing in various stages of completion. In this case, the most recent case that is the trigger for this video, a friend wrote asking for recommendations for a good book editor who knows value investing in this case. And so I wanted to give my 2 cents worth to the friend and to anyone else who's interested what I have learned about writing books. And so the first thing that I want to lay on the table is that unless you are a genius writer, unless you're William Green or Simon Schama or Tom Friedman or Camilla Cavendish or various people who spend their lives writing, then for those people, they can go away and write and produce something that is a thing of beauty, a finished product right away, all on their own, no help needed. But if you're like the rest of humanity that I am, not a professional writer, not a native to that territory, if you like, have a day job. And when I talk to William Green, I call him, I call myself a civilian in that world, just the same way that William Green is a civilian in the investing world. So the one thing is to recognize that. And once you recognize that, then there's the acknowledgement that writing is a collaborative project for the rest of us. So what does that mean? There's a certain part of writing which is extremely lonely, getting the raw text down, getting one's thoughts out, getting things onto a page. And until I spoke to Morgan Housel, I thought that there was only one way to do it. Now I know that there are multiple ways to do it. In my case, I have to just write, and I have to write a lot of garbage first and then look for the gems inside the garbage. By contrast, Morgan Housel does it differently. But at some point, one is going to want to have a collaborator. In my experience, writing The Education of Value Investor, I had 3 very important collaborators who were utterly instrumental in helping me write what I wrote, author it, and get the book into the shape that it was. So in my case, the first person that I had as a collaborator was Jessa Gamble. Jessa Gamble herself is a professional writer, a very, very good writer. And she helped me to get my thoughts out on the page. She was the first one that I trusted to look at all my various notes of different kinds. And it was actually her who created the impetus to write a book proposal. So Jessa Gamble, I don't know what you want to call her, because in my case, all of the words that I wrote down were originally my words, so I didn't have a sort of a ghostwriter. There's people who ghostwrite where they just talk to you and then they write down your words. But so Jessa Gamble, first collaborator. Second collaborator, Laura Harting from Palgrave Macmillan, the editor of my book. She brought me to New York for a day where we sat in the Gridiron building, which was where Palgrave Macmillan's offices were. And we hashed out together. I was scared stiff to go there, but together we hashed out the structure of the book. And William Green recently said to me, she did a really good job there, because that's where the book really took form. So I had an editor. In this case, it was an editor provided by Palgrave Macmillan. She didn't edit my writing in any way, but she helped me to decide what I was going to write about, what needed to be included, what needed to not be included. And then at the very end of that process of writing the structure, taking all of the words that I'd written and writing it into the book, there was a third person who came along, William Green, who took the finished book. We spent 3 months going through the book, and William Green basically rewrote pretty much every chapter, squeezing out more from me, restructuring the chapters, doing a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know what you want to call that. Collaborative writing, editing, there's probably a good word for it. I think it's somewhere between collaborative writing and editing. So 3 collaborators in my case. So look for collaborators. The last point that I want to make, at least for this video, is that in addition to it being a collaborative project, a collaborative process, at least for me, and I suspect for most people watching this video, the third really important thing is that it's a hero's journey in and of itself. So the act of writing a book is an act of extraordinary courage. It's really scary to put oneself out there in any way, shape, or form. These three people who showed up for me, are kind of like, in Star Wars, people like Obi-Wan Kenobi, or there are other names for these people. They're kind of, as William Green, a phrase he recently used, friends along the path. They're there far more than just to be paid to do work. They're there to help you, the hero, get to where you want to go. And discovering that person, I was just beginning to write in the email I'm about to send, is a bit like finding a spouse or the love of one's life. It's sort of like you have to be looking, you have to be open to it, you have to want it, but those people pop up in the strangest places. So Jessa Gamble, I was sitting next to her at a dinner in Edinburgh, of all places, at the TED Global Conference, and it kind of happened to come out that I was trying to write a book. And she had kind eyes and she said, "Oh, I'd love to hear more." And I was really quite reluctant to tell her because it was kind of my little project. But something about the way she looked at me, something about our conversation meant that I felt comfortable telling her more. And then it turned into a collaboration. So that's a bit of a story of Jessa Gamble. And if we go to William Green, I sent him the finished copy of the book, or what I thought was the finished copy of the book, and said, "William, anything you can do that will help make this better, I deeply appreciate." And William didn't know what he was going to do with it. He received it. And what he told me recently was that when he read the first chapter, he said, "Oh, this guy is not just trying to puff himself up. He's actually trying to give an honest account." And that's what made him interested. He felt like he was doing more than just helping a friend or getting paid for something. He felt like he was doing important work about getting a good story out about somebody who wanted to be honest about their experiences in the investment world. And so again, it was kind of a process of sort of a magical process by which each one of those three collaborators showed up. So, just to summarize, unless you're a genius, writing is a collaborative project. At some point, you'll want to get the right collaborators in. Second of all, it might be more than one collaborator. The nature of the collaboration will be different in every case. Third point, it's a hero's journey to find that collaborator. That is the part of the process of producing the book. And I'll just add one last kind of extra point to that last point, is that you want to get good at sharing pieces of your work, talking to the right people. You'll find that some people are extremely helpful. Some people are not helpful at all. So developing a meta-knowledge about whom to talk about your work, in what way, what parts to share. Some people you'll share the work with, you'll get something that's completely non-productive back. Some people you'll share bits and pieces of your work and they'll be extremely helpful. Those people may come from the most surprising places, from members of one's family to, anonymous people on Twitter. If you share part of your writing in a Twitter thread, it could come from anywhere. And so I urge you to my experience was to be open to, in the same way that finding a spouse, you kind of got to be open. It might be the person you talk to on a train or their best friend, or you want to be open to where those things come from and kind of listen to the universe for the magic. I hope that's helpful. Thanks. Bye.